Let's do some work on forming and solving equations in this video today. There are other types that you can be looking at in terms of using the perimeter of the shape. We're not going to focus on that today. We're going to focus our attention on just using angles. I picked just about 3 shapes to look at just to give us an idea as to how these things do work. And it is exactly what it says. You have to read the question, make an equation, and then solve that equation for a desired effect. So for example, in the shape we're looking at here, we've got a trapezium. We know it's a trapezium because we've got one pair of parallel sides. And in maths, we know that sides are parallel when you see arrows on them. So once you see the arrows facing the same direction, it means that these two sides here are parallel to each other. Now, with that in mind, I must mention that this is one of our special quadrilaterals. We have various types. We've got various special quadrilaterals. We've got a kite, we've got a parallelogram, we've got a rhombus, we've got this trapezium, and so on. I will put a link to one of my other videos on special quadrilaterals in the description so you can have a look at that. But what's special about a trapezium is the fact that the angles directly on top of each other add up to 180 degrees. And that is because it follows along from some rules of parallel lines. So if I've got a pair of parallel lines there, I've put my arrows on to say that they're parallel, and I've got an angle here and an angle there. These two angles are called co-interior angles, and they add up to 180 degrees. And that's exactly what's happening here. I've got a parallel line, transversal. This line is called a transversal, and these two add up to 180 degrees. We have to use that rule in order to solve this because we've got another variable there. So let's go right ahead and start putting that together. So I know that this angle plus that angle equals to 180. So I'm going to write it down exactly like that. X plus 10 added to 2x minus 10 is equal to 180 degrees. And then it's a simple matter now of using your skills of from combining like terms. And here we've got like terms. I've got 1x plus 2x's make 3x's altogether. And then I've got 10 take away 10. Well, that means that these are cancelled out, so that becomes 0. And I'm just left with the 180 degrees there. Now, to finish off the job, if I want to know what x is, which is what I do, I need to do the inverse operation, or in other words, remove this 3. The 3 is multiplying by the x. The opposite of multiply is to divide, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. In so doing, these two will cancel out, leaving me with just the x there, and then 180 divided by 3 is just going to be 60. So I know that x is equal to 60 degrees. Now that I know that, I can go and do other things, like for example, the question might ask me to find out what exactly is this angle up here, and then that's an easy job. Since I know x is 60, I can just replace this x here for 60. 60 plus 10 is equal to 70 degrees, and so on. There's so many other things you could be doing. All right, if you think you have an idea, it might be a good idea to pause the video here and see if you can go ahead and work out what's going on there. All right, let's go for it then. So again, I've got interior angles because parallel line, transversal, that's interior with that, okay? So because they're interior, I can now say that 4y plus that 5 plus the 2y take away 5 is equal to 180 degrees because co-interior angles add up to 180. Again, add up the common items. So 4y plus 2y gives me 6y. And then I've got 5, take away 5. Well, that's gone. And what I'm left with is it's equal to 180 degrees. And again, in order to find y, I need to do the inverse operation. Divide them both by 6 to tell me that y is 30 degrees. Okay, so that's our first question done. Now we go to our next question. Here we've got now another quadrilateral, but there's nothing too special about this quadrilateral. There are no parallel sides on it or anything like that. It's just your regular run-of-the-mill quadrilateral. Now for this, you must know that angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360 degrees. So you must know this. If you don't know this, then you might need to go do a little bit of research on this, okay? I've got another video, which I'll link in the description as well, about angles in a polygon. So make sure that you have a look out for that one as well. So this is angles in a quadrilateral. So this is going to add up to 360. So that means that this angle plus that angle plus this angle plus that angle equals to 360. And just as I've said it, I'm going to write it down. So 2x plus 2x plus 5 plus that 85 degrees plus x plus 20 is equal to 360 degrees. And again, you combine the like terms. So here I've got 2x plus another 2x is 4x. Plus that 1x over here is 5x. So that adds up to 5x. Plus, now I've got my numbers I've got to deal with. Let's use a different color for that one. So I've got 5 plus 85 is going to give me 90. Plus another 20 is going to give me 110. So that's going to be 110. And it all adds up to 360. So I've added up all the numbers, added up all the x's, and then I'm good to go. Now, we need to do a little bit of inverse operation, and I like using the balancing method for this because I think it makes life easy. So the first thing we need to get rid of is this 110. And to get rid of that, I will take away 110, make it 110, and take away 110 from there. So what will happen now is I'm going to have 5x left there. These two, 110 take away 110 is gone, so that's 0. Equals to 360 take away 110 is going to be 250. And then to finish off the job, all I've got to do now is divide by 5 again to work out that x will equal to 50 degrees. All right, and that's basically done. In a question like this, they could ask you to find x, which is what I've just done. They could also ask you to find the smallest angle or the biggest angle and say what it is. And in that case, you'll need to substitute the x's in there to work out each angle to say which one's the smallest or which one's the biggest and that sort of stuff. Just for the sake of demonstration, I'll just quickly do one. I'm not going to do them all. I'm just going to do one just to prove the point. So let's just say I use this angle here. All I need to do is replace this x with 50. So what I'll end up having is 2 times 50 plus that 5. Double 50 is 100 plus 5 is 105. So I already know that this angle up here is 105 degrees. Okay, and so on. So these are, and it definitely is the biggest angle because this angle up here would be 50 plus 20, which is 70. And this is double 50, which is just 100. So, and that's done. All right, final question for today. And on this final question, we have got, well, let's check it out and see. How many sides or corners have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 corners or 5 sides. This is a 5-sided shape. This is a pentagon. And what do you know about a pentagon? Well, all of the angles in a pentagon add up to 540 degrees. Again, if you don't know how I got that, check out the video in the description about angles in a polygon. But just for the sake of mentioning it, you can work it out rather easy. Find out how many triangles you've got in a pentagon, and how you do that is you pick a corner. I have picked this corner here, and you make as many triangles as you possibly can. There are only 3 triangles in here, and each triangle has 180 degrees in it. 180 times 3 is 540. So we know all the angles in a pentagon add up to 540. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, and I've removed the lines, let's begin the work. So I know that this angle plus that angle plus this angle plus this angle plus this last angle here add up to 540. So I'm going to write it down just as I've said it. So 3x plus 3x plus 5 plus that 75 degrees up there, and the 2x and the 140 is equal to 540 degrees. All right, now same as I was doing before, nothing new here. Look for all of your common values and or your like terms and add them up. So I've got 3x plus another 3x is 6x plus another 2x over there is 8x. So I'm just going to write down my 8x there, and then I do the same thing with my numbers, which will then tell me that 5 plus 75 is 80, plus another 140 is 220. So I'm going to have my 220 there, and that is equal to 540. So now I have to do the same thing as I did before with my 540, and take away the 220 first. So I'm going to take away that 220. Take away that 220, which then means that that cancels out, and what I've got left is 8x is equal to 320. And then last of all I've got to do now is divide by that 8. So I'm just going to divide both sides by 8. Again, these will cancel out, become 1. And so x will equal to 40 degrees. And this is now finished. So again, you can be asked about the biggest angle, the smallest angle, whatever the case might be, or they might say find all the angles within the shape. You already know that this is 140 and that's 75, but you will then need to substitute that 40 degrees to get these other 2 angles. All right, so that's the end of this video. I hope that you've learned something new today. If you did, give the video a like. I'd really appreciate that. And don't forget to share it with somebody else who might want to know about how to do these things.